continuous variable. So what do we mean by continuous and discontinuous? So please remember, continuous variable means which will have a lot of values and there would be values in between as well. For example, temperature. Okay, temperature will have 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree, and there is also possibility that it can be 1.5 degrees as well. So there are multiple number of values, n number of values, and in between values are also possible. Beach ki values bhi ho sakti, decimals, and that is what is a continuous variable. So weight, height, temperature, all of these are continuous variables. On the other hand, if I talk about discontinuous variables, guys, means these values would be lesser. Okay, so there would be few values, and in between values are not possible. There would be few values, and in between values are not possible. Something like ABO blood grouping system, right? It has only A, B, AB, and O blood group, right? Only few values are there, only 4 values, and in between values possible hai kya? Nahi hai. So in between values are not possible. Same goes for religion, right? Same goes for sex. Either it is a female or male. Don't go into that details now. But at least according to biological sex, either it is a female or a male, mostly, right? So few values and in between values are not possible. That is what is a discontinuous variable. Done with this, the next classification that we have, either it is a quantitative variable. What do we mean by that? Quantitative variables are the ones which can be measured, and which can be compared as well. ठीक है, जो हम measure कर सकते हैं और compare कर सकते हैं, those are called as the quantitative variables. Whereas the values which cannot be measured or cannot be compared are called as the qualitative variables. If I talk about quantitative, again weight. Anybody has 60 kg, anybody is 50 kg. So these values can be measured, first thing, and second, they can be compared. 60 kg is heavier than 50 kg, right? So they can be compared. That is a quantitative variable. On the other hand, if I talk about qualitative variable, again something like religion, sex, okay, no one is superior to the other, so it cannot be compared and it cannot be measured also. ठीक है? You are so 50% male, you are 70% female, ऐसा कुछ तो नहीं होता है ना? ठीक है? So right, either you are a female or a male, either you have A blood group or B blood group. Nothing like 80% or 50%, something of that kind. So that is qualitative variables. Here it cannot be compared with each other. Important thing. Okay. Last classification that we have, usually discontinuous values को दूसरा और एक होता है discrete variables भी बोलते हैं. It is also known as the discrete variables. And now the last classification that we have, it is a dichotomous and polyautomous. Dichotomous and polyautomous. So dichotomous means kya? Only 2 values are possible. Maximum how many values are possible? 2 values are possible. That means you either have a disease or you don't have a disease. Either you are a male or you are a female. Either your blood group. Oh, discussion. It is a completely different aspect from our studies. Let's discuss it after the exam. Okay? So dichotomous means only maximum 2 values are possible. Whereas polyautomous means multiple values are possible. ठीक है, तो जल्दी से बताओगे. I will give you and एक क्लासिफिकेशन बताएंगे, right? First, second and third. So I will give you one variable, you will tell me whether it belongs. If I ask one, you will tell me either it is continuous or discrete. ठीक है? So first of all, weight is a continuous variable. Second, it is a quantitative or qualitative? Quantitative variable. And third, it is a voice is low. Please let me know if the voice is still low, guys. It is a dichotomous or polyautomous? Multiple values are possible. So it is a polyautomous variable. Second, religion now. Religion is a continuous or discrete? It is a discrete variable. Second, quantitative or qualitative? Qualitative variable. Dichotomous or polyautomous? Please unmute your audio. I've unmuted it already. Please check from your side, from the UI. Okay. So no issues with this. Blood pressure, jaldi se. Blood pressure values, continuous or discrete? Continuous. Quantitative or qualitative? Quantitative. Dichotomous or polyautomous? Polyautomous. No issues with this now. Variables are done. Moving further, if I talk about scales. So we have 3 types of scales, guys, right? We have either categorical scale or metric scale. Categorical scales are further divided into 2 types. Okay, categorical are further 2 types. Either it is a nominal scale, or it is a ordinal scale, and metric scale is only one, and that is also called as the metric scale. From the name itself, it is evident. Nominal scale means it will contain name, right? A, B, O blood group, religion, all of these would be on the nominal scale, right? तुम्हारे सबके नाम, all of these would be on the nominal scale. Nothing is more or nothing is less. They are not in a specific order, okay? They are not compared to each other. So it is a nominal scale. Only names, okay? Only names are nominal scale. If I talk about ordinal scale, guys, here there would be a specific order. Here there would be a specific order. So if I talk about disease, TNM staging of some cancer would be a ordinal scale. TNM staging of some cancer would be a ordinal scale. Then grading or severity of some disease would again be a ordinal scale because it is a specific order. Mild, moderate, severe, right? That type. So it is a ordinal scale. And lastly, metric scale means which will have values of which can be measured. जो scale पे measure कर सकते हो, that is what is a metric scale. No issues with this. So something like again your weight, blood pressure, height, all of these would be a metric scale, right? Which can be measured. No issues with this, anybody now? So please let me know which is the best scale out of these, nominal, ordinal, or metric. The best one is the metric scale, followed by the ordinal scale, followed by the nominal scale. So either the best one is to compare the values. If not that, at least set them in a order. If not that, then we would be taking the nominal scale. So the best scale out of all is the metric scale. Best scale out of all is the metric scale. No issues. Moving further. Talking about central tendency or measures of central tendency. I hope all of you are quite aware there are three measures of central tendency. And what are these three measures called as? Mean, median, mode. Mean, median, mode. Now, what is mean? If you have n number of values with you, 100 values है तुम्हारे पास, the sum of all the values and their average is considered as the mean. So average of all the values is considered as the average of all the values is considered as the mean. What do we mean by the median, anybody? It is the middle value. It is the middle value. Middle value randomly or middle value when the given sample is set in an ascending order or descending order. So either it should be set in an ascending or a descending order, and then you will take the middle value. Okay, then that would be a median, not randomly. So in questions usually they give you that a class of like the second question. The next question is in a GP all the students score these many numbers, but they are random. Okay, they are not in a sequence. They are not from low to high or high to low. So they are not either ascending or descending. So first, if they ask you to calculate the median, you need to first arrange them in either the ascending order or the descending order. And then you will look at the middle value, which is known as the median. Middle value is the median. Important thing is, please tell me, in middle value, it would be easy if it is an odd set of samples. Odd number of samples. If there are 7 samples, 3 on this side, 3 on this side, the middle fourth value would be a median. So odd number of samples mein, it is the middle value directly. But if it is an even number of samples, that means total 6 samples, 6 values are with you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what should be your median now? So it is the addition of the middle 2 values. It is the addition of the middle 2 values. So okay, it is the addition of middle 2 values upon 2. It is the addition of middle 2 values upon 2. So if we have a sample of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? Even number of samples, right? So here it should be addition of 3 plus 4 upon 2. So it would be 3.5, right? So in odd number, it is easy. Only the middle value would be your median. But in even number, the average of middle 2 values is your median. No issues with this. Last is your mode. Last mode is what? The most frequent value. The most frequent value. For example, if I have a sample of 1, 1, 2, 4, 6. What is the mode over here? 1, because it is repeated twice, right? So the maximum frequently repeated value is called as your mode. Okay, maximum number of repeated values called as your mode. So now in some sample, here it is easy because only 1 is twice repeated. But if I say in this condition, what would be your mode? So what would be your answer? Here, because 1 is also twice repeated, 6 is also twice repeated. So what should be your answer? So right, please remember, mode can be expressed. If there are 2 modes, modes can be expressed as even bimodal. And what do we mean by bimodal? That means 2 modes would be there, 1 and 6. 2 modes would be there, 1 and 6. और अगर उनको एक आंसर चाहिए, if they need one answer from you, then you will again add and divide. That means 1 plus 6 divided by 2. 1 plus 6 divided by 2. If they need unimodal answer, if they need bimodal, 1 and 6 both would be your mode. No issues with this. Jaldi say, frequently repeated value is known as middle value in ascending or descending order is known as, and sum or average of all the values is known as mean. So mean is represented by which letter? Anybody? Mean is क्या 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 sigma is standard deviation, guys. ठीक है, so it is the mu. ठीक है, so mu is equal to summation of all the values upon number of all the values, right? Mean का formula क्या है? Mu is equal to summation of all the values upon the number of values, right? So ये जो पहला सैंपल है उसमें क्या होगा? 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 upon 6. Number of values कितनी है? 6, right? So that is how you calculate mean. Mu is equal to summation of all the values upon the number of total values. Next question says a grand test was conducted in AFMG. Students scored 140 गया, 160, 170, 149 बेचारा, 300 कौन है ये, 150 and 165. Most preferred measure of central tendency would be mean median mode, which is the best method. So the most preferred measure or the best measure of central tendency is the mean. The best measure of central tendency would be the mean, followed by the median, followed by the mode. So याद रखना, which is the best measure of central tendency, which is the best measure of central tendency, followed by mode. No issues with this. Anybody? Great. Moving further. ठीक है, जिसको यहाँ पे mean निकालना है, please let me know what is the mean. And what would be the median over here? Anybody? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry. How many values we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it would be what? 1, 2, 3. ठीक है, 3. Then it would be. रुक जाओ. It is 1. It is 2. It is 3. It is 4. No. Just 1, 2. It is 3. It is 4. Then it is 5. And this is 6. And last is 7. So middle value would be the fourth value, that is 165. So it would be your median. No issues with this, anybody? ठीक है? So always arrange it in the ascending or descending order. Otherwise, that will create problems for you. ठीक है? And what is the mode in this? Mode नहीं है इसमें. Okay, so some values or some samples will not have a mode because they do not have a frequently repeated value as well. Next, scattering of values is called as scattering of values from a mean value is called as definitions are the biostats की. Scattering of values from a mean value is called as dispersion. Scattering of values from the mean value is called as dispersion. No issues with this. Whereas deviation of a given value from a mean value. Deviation of a given value from mean value. So for example, my mean value is 40 and they have asked you to calculate the deviation for 20. So 20 minus 40 would be 20. Right? So here the deviation from the mean value would be 20 in this case. And deviation from mean value is known as standard deviation. Deviation from mean value is known as standard deviation. So deviation of a given value from the mean value is known as standard deviation. So 20 कितना दूर है mean से? 20 points दूर है. No issues with this. 30 कितना दूर है mean से? 10 points दूर है. No issues with this. That is what is your standard deviation. Increase or decrease or deviation from the mean value is called as standard deviation. And standard deviation is represented by sigma. Standard deviation is represented by sigma. No issues with this, anybody? Sorry. Then what is standard error, anybody? Standard error is the difference between the sample mean and the population mean. Standard error is the difference between sample mean and the population mean. Jaldi bolo. Standard error is the difference between sample mean and population mean. Standard error is the difference between sample mean and population mean. For example, मुझे कोई study करनी थी. Okay, I had to do some study. The total population of India is 1.3 billion, but it is not possible for me to collect samples from all these 1.3 billion. So I have only selected a group of 100. Okay, so this 100 would be my sample. So I will calculate the mean of this sample and I will compare it to the population mean. And this difference between the sample mean and the population mean is known as your standard error. Right? No issues with this, anybody? Next. A sample of 40, 60, 30, 50, 100, 120 was given. Calculate the range. What is range? Anybody? Right. Range is the maximum value minus the minimum value. Range is the maximum value minus the minimum value. So in this sample, what would be your range? Maximum value is 120. Minimum value is 30. So it would be around 90. So the range in this condition would be 90. So what is range? It is easiest. Range is nothing but maximum value minus the minimum value. Okay, here it would be 90 in this condition. No issues with this, anybody? Stat समझ में आ रहा है? कोई दिक्कत है? अगर है तो अभी के अभी बताओ. ठीक है? So standard error, dispersion और standard deviation की definition रखनी है तुम्हें. ठीक है? No issues with that. First thing. Second, standard deviation, as I told you, it is sigma. And what is standard deviation? अगर नहीं समझ में आ रहा हो, it is important. So I am telling you. बाकी दो important नहीं है इसमें. Standard deviation, that means from 0. How many values will fall between -1 or +1? That is what is the standard deviation. How many values will fall between -2 and +2? That is what is the standard deviation, right? Deviation from the mean value, and here it is 0. So deviation from 0, the mean value is considered as standard deviation. A sample of COVID patients in different hospitals was given showing normal distribution. Normal distribution means such type of a curve, which is known as the Gaussian distribution, which is known as the normal Gaussian distribution. So this type of a normal distribution is seen with n is equal to 100. That is, number of values are 100. Mean is 20. Standard deviation is 5. Calculate the Z score of the hospital with 30 COVID patients. Right? So here I need to calculate the Z score. Z score is also known as the relative deviate. It is also known as the relative deviate. So please remember, Z score is also known as the relative deviate. Z score is also known as the relative deviate. Okay? And what is the formula of relative deviate? Given value minus mean upon standard deviation. Given value minus mean upon standard deviation. So given value kitni apni? 30 minus mean is 20 upon standard deviation, that is sigma is 5. 10 upon 5 is 5. Sorry, 2. 10 upon 5 is 2. No issues with this. So here the Z score or the relative deviate of a hospital having 30 COVID patients is how much? It is 2. No issues with this. So yaad rakhna, what is the formula for Z score or relative deviate? X minus mu upon sigma. X minus mu upon sigma, where X is the given value, X is the given value, mu is the mean, and sigma is the standard deviation. No issues with this. Here they have asked you to calculate the Z score of a hospital with 30 COVID patients. So here the X or the given value becomes 30. Okay, इसीलिए 30 minus mean, that is 20, upon standard deviation, that is 5. No issues with calculating Z score, anybody? That is what is required. इतनी ही ऐसे ही न्यूमेरिकल्स आएंगे, इससे ज्यादा नहीं आते. ठीक है? Not the under root ones usually. They are usually seen in INRCT, not even in NEET PG we have got such type of question. A sample had a mean of 50. Okay, the mean or mu value is 50. Standard deviation is 5. So 95% values will fall between. So for that you need to get this normal distribution. So if we have n number of values, they would be distributed in this curve, and this is called as the normal distribution or the Gaussian curve. It is known as normal distribution or the Gaussian curve. So important thing about the normal distribution of Gaussian curve, इसमें क्या होता है? All the values will be equally distributed on the either side. Got it? All the values would be equally distributed on the either side. 50 values on this side, 50 values on this side of the zero, right? So out of 100, equal distribution on both the sides is seen, and that is what is a normal distribution, also known as your Gaussian curve. Okay? So the middle line would be 0. Then we have -1 and +1 standard deviation. Then we have -2 and +2 standard deviation, and -3 and +3 standard deviation. As I told you, standard deviation is represented by sigma. No issues with this, anybody? Important. So now they usually ask you how many percentage of values fall between -1 till +1 standard deviation. As you can see, between -1 till +1 standard deviation, 68% values fall. Usually 68.3 to be specific. Okay? So 68% values fall between -1 till +1. Then how many values will fall between -2 to +2? 95% values, or 95.5% values will fall between -2 and +2 standard deviation. And lastly, how many values will fall between -3 to +3? 99.7% values. How many values? 99.7% values will fall between -3 to +3 standard deviation. No issues with this now? Jaldi say. Between -1 to +1? Between -1 to +1? Between -2 to +2? Between -2 to +2? And between -3 to +3? Between -3 to +3? 99.7%. No issues with this, and rest of them thoda aur aage jayenge. ठीक है, no issues. At least you need to know this much. Now here they have given that a sample had a mean of 50, standard deviation is 5, 90%, 95% of values will fall between. 95% means between -2 to +2 standard deviation. -2 to +2 standard deviation, right? And what is standard deviation? How much? In this sample, the standard deviation is 5. In this sample, the standard deviation is 5. Okay? So -2 to +2 standard deviation. So -2 into standard deviation, that is 5, +2 into standard deviation, that is 5. So the range would fall between -10 till +10. And from the mean value, if I subtract and add this value, so it would be -10 from 50 would be 40, and +10 in 50 would be 60. So 95% of values will fall between 40 to 60. 95% of values will fall between 40 to 60. No issues with this. अगर है तो एक बार repeat करते हैं. Any issues? Repeat. Okay. So please remember, guys, this much you know that the standard. This much you know that 95% of standard, 95% of values in a normal curve will fall between -2 standard deviation to +2 standard deviation. This much you know, right? So here the standard deviation given is 5. Standard deviation given 5. Yeah, the standard deviation given over here is 5, right? So we need to calculate -2 standard deviation to +2 standard deviation. -2 into 5 would be -10. +2 into 5 would be +10. So from the mean value, subtract 10 and add 10. So from mean value, that is 50. If we subtract 10, it would be 1. And when we add 10, it would be 60. So 95% value will fall between the range of 1 to 60. That is your -2 to +2 standard deviation. No issues with this. Okay? All those online, I hope so you have also got this funda. If not, please let us know. Okay? So you need to subtract or add the value from the mean value. Next, mean remains same, that is 5 over here. Okay, sorry, mean remains same, that is 50 over here. Standard deviation remains same, that is 5 over here. But I am asking you, 68.3% values will fall between. Now please let me know what would be the range. So you will -1 standard deviation करेंगे +1 standard deviation. So it would be -5 and +5. From the mean value, if I subtract 5, it would be 45. If I add 5, it would be 55. So 68.3% of values will lie between 45 till 55. 95% values will lie between 40 to 60. and 99.7% values will lie between, it will be between minus 3 standard deviation to plus 3 standard deviation. That means minus 59 plus 50. No issues with this, anybody? I hope so. Let's move further. What happened, sir? Please. क्या होगा then? Okay. Got it. I would not stand up. ठीक है? चलो. Then please let me know if it is a normal or a Gaussian curve. Okay. I'm setting. Don't worry. If it is a normal or a Gaussian curve, please tell me the mean, median, and mode relation would be equal. That means the mean is equal to median is equal to mode. So mean is equal to median is equal to mode. Okay, so all of them will lie at this central point. That means mean is equal to median is equal to mode in a normal or a standard Gaussian distribution. No issues with this. All of them will lie at the central point. Okay. If I talk about skewing, okay, that means a skewed graph or a skewed distribution. What do we mean by skewed distribution? Either it is going towards the right or it is going towards the left. So that is what is called as the skewed distribution. That means majority of the values are on the right side or majority of the values are on the left side. And how do we determine whether it is a right skewed graph or a left skewed graph? So it is important by the direction of the tail, So this is the tail. Here it is going towards the left side. Here it is going towards the left side. So it is a left skewed distribution. And left skewed distribution is also called as the negatively skewed distribution. Left skewed distribution is also called as the negatively skewed distribution because उस side पे क्या होता है zero के negative values होते हैं. So that is why it is called as a negatively skewed distribution. If I say here the tail is going, sorry guys. Here the tail is going towards the, अरे यार क्या है? Here the tail is going towards the right side. That means the right skewed distribution. And right skewed distribution is also called as a positively skewed distribution. No issues with this. So jaldi say negatively skewed is, positively skewed is, left side is, right side is. No issues with this. So important. And that is determined by the tail of the graph. Important. Now please tell me the relations over here. That is important. Okay? So in a left skewed graph or a negatively skewed graph, what would be the relation between mean, median and mode? Anybody? Mean is less than median is less than mode. Okay. So ऐसे याद रखो negative है ना ये, कोई अच्छे को कम करेगा. That means mean would be the least over here. ठीक है? So mean would be less than, median would be less than mode in this condition. Whereas the other side, that is a right skewed graph or a positively skewed graph, here mean would be more than, median would be more than mode. No issues with this, anybody? So, okay, mean would be, okay, yaad rakho. So mean less than, median less than mode is seen as left skewed graph. Mean less than, median less than mode is seen as mean more than, median more than mode is seen as mean more than, median more than mode is seen as mean is equal to mode is equal to mean is equal to median is equal to mode is seen as normal or Gaussian curve. Mean is equal to median is equal to mode is seen as normal or Gaussian curve. No issues with this. Left skewed में जल्दी से relation बोलो. Mean is less than, median is less than mode. Right skewed या positive skewed में जल्दी बोलो. Mean is more than, median is more than mode. No issues with this, anybody? Very good. चलो आगे. Now talking about the examiner's favorite, that is a statistical test. बहुत easy फंडा है. Don't be apprehensive कि मुझे नहीं आएगा. सबको आएगा. बहुत easy है चीज. ठीक है? So either there will be a parametric test or non-parametric test. Parametric test में we will compare either the mean or the standard deviation. We will compare either the mean or the standard deviation or maybe a value. ठीक है? So you are comparing a value, a mean or standard deviation. On the other hand, in non-parametric test, you will compare percentage or fraction. In non-parametric test, you will compare percentage or fraction. I will explain you the examples, don't worry. Okay? If I compare mean or standard deviation in one group, it is called as the paired student t-test. It is called as the paired student t-test. If I compare mean or standard deviation in two groups, it is called as the unpaired student t-test. It is called as the unpaired student t-test. And if I compare mean, standard deviation or any value in three groups or more than three groups, then it is called as the ANOVA test. Then it is called as the ANOVA test. Next, if I talk about non-parametric test, here I will compare percentage or fraction. If I compare percentage of fraction in one group, it is called as the sign test. If I compare percentage of fraction in one group, it is called as the sign test. If I compare percentage of fraction in two groups or more, it is called as the chi-square test. It is called as the chi-square test. Okay? So more than equal to 2, more than equal to 3. No issues with this, anybody? Now giving you examples. Okay? I have one group. Okay, I have one group of hypertensive individuals. Okay, I have one group of hypertensive individuals. I calculated their BP and their mean BP was 140 by 90. Their mean BP was 140 by 90. After giving the drug in the same group, the BP was 120 by 80. After giving the drug in the same group, the BP was 120 by 80. So I am comparing what? I am comparing a blood pressure value. I am comparing a blood pressure value or a mean, right? So I am comparing mean or a blood pressure value. So which type of test? Parametric test. Done, Funda. Second thing now, I am comparing how many groups? I am comparing only a single group. Before and after the intervention, but I am comparing only in a single group. So therefore it would be a paired T test. Therefore it would be a paired T test. Next, Funda. Then if I say I have two groups or two wards, okay, ward 1 and ward 2. In ward 1, the average BP of all my patients is 140 by 90. In ward 1, the average BP of all my patients is 140 by 90. Whereas in ward 2, the average BP of all my patients is 120 by 80. In ward 2, the average BP of all my patients is 120 by 80. So here I am comparing what? A value or a mean. So which type of test? Parametric test. In how many groups? Two groups. Therefore, which type of parametric test? Unpaired T test. No Funda, no issue. Next, if I say I have three wards now, ward 1, ward 2, ward 3. Mean value of BP in ward 1, 140 by 90. Mean value of BP in ward 2, 120 by 80. Mean value of BP in ward 3, 160 by 100. So here I am comparing again what? A value or mean. So which type of test? Parametric test. How many groups? Three groups. That means it is a ANOVA test. Done with parametrics? Non-parametric test. Now if I say I have group 1 or ward 1, okay? Here I say that 40% of my patients are hypertensive. Here I say 40% of my patients are hypertensive. After I give a drug, now only 20% of my patients have hypertension. Now only 20% of my patients have hypertension. So what I was comparing? I was comparing the percentage. I was comparing the percentage. 40% pehle the, 20% baad mein. So I was comparing the percentage. Or maybe I will say 2/3 of my patients prior had hypertension. Now only 1/3 have hypertension. That is a fraction. So I will either compare percentage or fraction. And how many groups I compared? In a single group. So as I was comparing percentage of fraction, it was a non-parametric test. And how many groups I was comparing it in? Single group. So therefore it was a sign test. No issues with this. Next and last example. Now this time I have ward 1 and ward 2. Okay, in ward 1 I have 40% hypertensive. In ward 2 I have 60% hypertensive. What I am comparing? Percentage or fraction. Fraction मैं बोल सकता हूँ 1/3 of my patients in ward 1 are hypertensive. 2/3 of my patients in ward 2 are hypertensive. So here I am comparing fraction. So either fraction or percentage, if I compare it, is a non-parametric test. In how many groups I was comparing? Two groups, two or more groups. So then therefore it is a chi-square test. कोई दिक्कत अभी? Got it? Everybody done with it? कोई भी question आएगा, you will not make any mistake. I hope so. ठीक है? जल्दी से दोबारा ओके. I will ask you questions. You need to answer. ठीक है? Mean of standard deviation in one group. Paired student t-test. Mean of standard deviation in one group. Mean of standard deviation in two groups. Unpaired student t-test. Mean of standard deviation in two groups. Mean of standard deviation in three or more groups. Mean of standard deviation in three or more groups. Percentage of fraction in one group. Percentage of fraction in one group. Percentage of fraction in two or more group. Percentage of fraction in two or more group. Chi-square test. No issues with this now. Done. Consistent variable होता है यार, but वो usually INCET में पूछते हैं. इसमें नहीं है, तो I am not covering it over here because मैं पढ़ा नहीं रहा. I am only taking revision, so only important points would be covered. An intern was asked to compare mean values of blood pressure in ward 1 and ward 2. Which test shall he use? Shabash. So he was asked to compare mean values. So it would be parametric test. In how many groups? Ward 1 and ward 2 means 2 groups. So it should be a unpaired student t-test. It should be an unpaired student t-test. No issues with this now? Done with this? समझ गए फंडा अभी solve कर पाओगे? Great. Moving further now, if I talk about this type of sampling that we have, the first method of sampling is known as a, here you have a set of people, okay? You have 12 number of people and you are randomly choosing people from anywhere. This is called as the simple random sampling. This is called as the simple random sampling. So anywhere if you choose, that is called as a simple random sampling. Next, if I talk about this one, here you can see I have arranged this people, or I have arranged these number of people in a specific order. And now I am selecting the every third individual. Now I am selecting the every third individual for my sample that is being created. So this is known as a systematic random sampling. So this is known as a systematic random sampling. So I am still choosing randomly, but now I have set a system that only every third individual would be selected for my sample, right? So it is a systematic random sampling. Next, here you can see I have divided the population, or I have divided the group in various layers. And when they are divided in various layers, they are called as strata. They are called as strata. Levels matlab kya? Levels matlab strata. So here I have, here I have divided my population in various layers or various strata. And now I am choosing randomly from these one layer. Okay, one individual from every layer I am choosing. So this is called as a stratified but still random. So stratified random sampling. Okay, when I will divide it in layers, then it is called as a stratified random sampling. And last, now here I am not arranging them in a sequence, neither I am arranging them in strata or levels. Okay, I am actually making them in clusters. So if I make them in clusters and randomly choose people from these clusters, it is called as a cluster random sampling. This is called as a cluster random sampling. No issues with this, anybody? So jaldi se. If I choose randomly from a population, it is a simple random sampling. If I arrange them in order and every third individual is selected, it is a systematic random sampling. If I arrange them in order and every third or second individual is selected, it is a systematic random sampling. If I order them in a levels, okay, if I order them in levels and randomly I select, then it is called as a stratified random sampling. If I arrange them in levels, it is called as a stratified random sampling. And lastly, if I arrange them in clusters and then choose people randomly, this is called as a cluster random sampling. No issues with this. Images dekh lo, images aa sakti image exam mein, theek hai? Next, if I talk about the statistical graphs or statistical diagrams that we have, guys, the first one they will only ask you to recognize. So here, these are frequency distributions, right? These are frequency distributions. That is the number of patients over the years would be distributed. That is what is a frequency distribution, and that can be represented by different types of statistical diagrams or statistical graphs. The first one in the image where you can see bar chart, but all of these bar charts are stick to each other. This is called as a histogram. The first one is a histogram. Next, over here you can see a histogram, but you can see a line which is connecting the center points of this histogram. So line connecting center points of the histogram, this is called as a frequency curve or a frequency polygon. So if you see a line, it is a frequency polygon. Line connecting histogram is a then if you can see a curve, connecting center of histogram, it is a frequency curve. The second thing to differentiate, if you are not able to recognize whether it is a polygon or a curve, important, polygon will never touch the baseline. यहाँ पे दिख रहा है, but polygon will never touch the baseline, whereas curve will touch the baseline. Curve will touch the baseline. Okay, usually, and in curve you can see this. That means infinity बताता है. Okay, it goes on and on and on. ठीक है? So these things are to be recognized. So if a line is connecting the histogram, it is known as frequency polygon. If a curve is connecting histograms, it is called as frequency curve. No issues with this. Important. Frequency polygon does not touch the baseline, whereas frequency curve touches the baseline. The next one over here, what is this? So these are simple bar charts. These are what? What are these? Simple bar charts. So here you can see number of cases in 2000, 2002, 2004. Okay, so that is how we plot them in a graph, and that is what is called as a simple bar chart. Then if you can see that in a single year, I was charting measles cases, mumps cases, rubella cases, and chickenpox cases. Okay, in a single year. So number of cases were charted. So this is called as a compound bar chart. This is called as a compound bar chart. This is called as a compound bar chart. अगर एक ही बार में बहुत सारे कंपोनेंट है, okay, it is a component bar chart or a compound bar chart. ठीक है, component भी बोलते हो, no issues with this. Component bar chart. Whereas if I say something like this, then it is called as a multiple bar chart. Then it is called as a multiple bar chart. No issues with this. I hope so. If you can see different components in a single bar, then it is called as a compound or a component bar chart. But if you can see multiple bar charts together in clusters or clusters, then it is called as a multiple bar chart. No issues with diagrams now. Next, so just remember these names. That is what is important. They don't ask you to calculate. Even identification के लिए एक या दो बार ही सवाल आया है इनमें से. ठीक है? Pie chart आ चुका है. The rest only once they have asked you, once or twice. So the first one that we have is a stem and leaf plot. The first one is a stem and leaf plot. The second one, it is a funnel plot. It looks like a funnel, so it is a funnel plot. Okay, it is also like here it represents a scatter diagram. That means it shows you the scattering of values usually. Next one over here, it is a forest plot. Next one over here is a forest plot. Here you can see a box and whisker plot. This is a box and whisker plot. And when the number of values would be distributed as percentage, 60%, 23%, 10% in a circular chart, then it is called as a pie chart or a pie diagram. Pie chart or a pie diagram. Last time they gave you in December 2021, they gave you distribution of foods. Okay, so उन्होंने दिखाया था 40% people having healthy food, 20% having fast food, ऐसा कुछ था. And they asked you which is the statistical graph. The statistical graph was pie chart or a pie diagram over. If you see a circle, blindly go for pie chart. Then two things that are left over here. If I have a graph like this and the number of frequencies are varying, what is this? This is a line diagram. This is a line diagram. Whereas the next one, here if I say the same, it looks, but here the frequency is only increasing. Here the frequency is only increasing. So this type of a chart is known as a guide. This chart is known as a guide. So line diagram, the frequency can increase or decrease, but in guide the frequency always increases. And they ask you what is the reason behind it. One's question was why the frequency or when the frequency keeps on adding in. That is called as your August ka question. That is called as a cumulative incidence. That is called as cumulative incidence. So cumulative incidence is represented by a guide. Cumulative incidence is represented by a guide. Okay, yaad rakh. So if incidence is only increasing, number of cases bas बढ़ रहे हर साल, then it is a guide. If it is varying less or more, then it is a line diagram. All of these diagrams you can find in the FMG snap also. Okay, no issues with this. If you are not studied, then you are lacking somewhere. Please do study while studying PSM. Diagrams are also important. हर बार एक से दो diagrams आते ही है biostats से. ठीक है. Next is immunization. Immunization is important. So एक hard topic हो गया, एक easy, and I hope it is easy for all of you. All of you have studied it really well. ठीक है ना? शायद. Now, in immunization, first I'll start with this program launched by the government of India. It is known as Mission Indradhanush. Indradhanush means a rainbow, right? So it is known as mission Indradhanush. Okay, the tagline is be wise, get your child immunized. Okay, so in mission Indradhanush, what was planned? So according to mission Indradhanush, catch-up campaigns have been launched. What do we mean by catch-up campaign? पकड़ पकड़ के बच्चों को इंजेक्शन ठोको. That is what is catch-up campaign. ठीक है? तो जो भी बच्चा immunized है, unimmunized है, irrespective of his immunization status, just immunize that child. Okay? So that is what is mission Indradhanush, right? So here we have launched catch-up campaigns. We have launched catch-up campaigns. For how many vaccines were included? First, 7 vaccine preventable diseases were included. First, 7 vaccine preventable diseases were included, and those were BCG, OPV, diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus, hepatitis B, and measles. Okay, so easy है. BCG, OPV, DPT, diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus, hepatitis B, and measles. No issues with this. So these were the 7 vaccines which were included in this program. Next, we also added 4 more vaccines now. We added 4 more vaccines to this, making it the total of 11 vaccines under this program. And 11 vaccines, the 4 more vaccines added were anybody? First is the IPV, injectable polio vaccine. First is the injectable polio vaccine. Second is the MR vaccine, measles rubella vaccine. Second is the measles rubella vaccine. Third, 2 new vaccines were added. Those were rotavirus and Japanese encephalitis. Rotavirus and Japanese encephalitis and rotavirus. No issues with this. So that is what is your mission Indradhanush, according to which catch-up campaigns have been launched for 11 vaccines which would be given to the child to make them immunized throughout India, and this was to be achieved by 2020. Still it is going on. So but this program was a success. Okay? Next, moving further, if I talk about next one, immunization mein the most important thing is actually cold chain. But before moving on with cold chain, guys, so just let me know important things about immunity. Immunization is what? Making your immune system stronger. So please tell me about immunity. First of all, if I talk about immunity, now, what is the example of natural active immunity? Natural active immunity. Natural active immunity, jaldi. Natural active immunity. Natural active immunity. Disease, right? So natural active immunity is disease. Naturally आ रहा है disease और active मतलब your body is forced to produce antibodies. That is what is the natural active immunity. Disease or infection is natural active immunity. Natural passive immunity. Naturally means it is coming from the mother to the child. That is vertical transmission of antibodies from mother to the child. But it is coming passively. The body, the baby does not need to do any of the effort. So it is passive in nature. So natural passive immunity is vertical transmission from mother to child. Next, if I talk about acquired active immunity. Acquired active immunity is vaccines. Acquired active immunity is vaccines, because vaccine would give some antigen and then your body would be forced to produce antibodies. That is the acquired active immunity. Acquired passive immunity, immunoglobulins, when your body is getting antibodies which are already prepared from outside. That is the acquired passive immunity. No issues with this now? Very good. Moving further. Now if I talk about immunization, that is vaccine, right? So in vaccine, which is the acquired active immunity, here from the point of manufacture till the point of administration. जब से vaccine बनती है तो जब तक बच्चे में जाके लगती है, till this you need to maintain the temperature of the vaccine. Okay, and that is what is called as your cold chain. That is what is called as your cold chain. So cold chain is from the point of manufacture to the point of administration, the temperature maintenance of the vaccine. Right? What is the temperature of cold chain? Anybody? So overall, if they ask you, the temperature of cold chain is +2 to +8, +2 to +8 degrees Celsius. No issues with this. So most of the vaccine will be stored at +2 to +8 degrees Celsius, except one, that is oral polio vaccine. So if you need to store oral polio vaccine for a longer duration of time, the temperature of vaccine storage should be minus 25, minus 15 to minus 25, minus 15 to minus 25 degrees Celsius. Okay? So all vaccines are stored at +2 to +8. But OPV for long-term storage needs minus 15 to minus 25. Yellow vaccine का, yellow fever का भी होता है minus 30 till +5. At least these two are important to be remembered. Then if I talk about cold chain maintenance, guys, cold chain maintenance or vaccine storage at various levels would be there. Okay, first is the state or regional level, then at CSC or district hospital level, then at your PSC level, and lastly at your sub-center or village level. So jaldi se, please let me know the instrument which is used and the temperature of them. Okay, first state or regional level pe we have the walk-in cold room for the walk-in freezer. At state or regional levels we have the walk-in cold room for the walk-in freezer. At CSC or district hospital we have the large ILR. We have the large ice-lined refrigerator or deep freezer. Large ice-lined refrigerator for large deep freezer. At PSC level we have a ILR. At a PSC level we have a ILR. Sometimes अगर PSC अच्छी हो तो deep freezers भी हो सकते हैं, right, for OPV. And sub-center or village level पे we have the vaccine carrier, and the lowest component of cold chain is ice pack. So sub-center or village level पे कौन सा दो instrument? Vaccine carrier and ice pack. No issues with this. Now please let me know what is the temperature at state or regional level. Walk-in cold room का temperature would be +2 to +8. +2 to +8. Walk-in freezer का temperature अलग होगा. नाम में ये freezer, so the temperature of walk-in freezer is -15 to -25. -15 to -25 degrees Celsius. The same applies for ILR, +2 to +8, and deep freezers -15 to -25. So what is the temperature of ILR? What is the temperature of ILR? What is the temperature of vaccine carrier? +2 to +8 degrees Celsius. What is the temperature of ice pack? Again same, +2 to +8 degrees Celsius. So how does it differ? It differs on the duration of vaccine storage. Okay? So at state or regional level, vaccines can be stored up to 3 months. At state or regional level, vaccines can be stored up to 3 months. At CSC or district hospitals, vaccine can be stored up to 1 month. At CSC or district hospital, vaccines can be stored up to 1 month. At PSC, vaccines can be stored up to 1 month. At sub-center or village level, in a vaccine carrier, vaccine can be stored up to 24 to 48 hours. In a vaccine carrier up to, whereas in ice pack up to 2 to 4 hours. Okay, no issues with this. What is this blue colored box that we have? The blue colored instrument. This is what is the vaccine carrier. Used at which level in cold chain? Sub-center or village level. What is this blue box known as? Vaccine carrier. And this vaccine carrier ka temperature is +2 to +8 degrees Celsius. Important. It can maintain its temperature up to, store vaccines up to 24 to 48 hours. How much time? 24 to 48 hours. Important. How many ice packs can fit inside the vaccine carrier? So how many ice packs can fit? And how many vaccine vials can fit? 16 to 20 vaccine vials can fit. How many vials? How many ice packs? In which instrument? Shabash. And this one is known as a ice pack. How many vaccines can fit? 2. How many vaccine vials? 2. And water should be filled up till the mark. Tap water should be filled up. What is the temperature? +2 to +8. What is the temperature? +2 to +8. What is the level at which it is used? Sub-center or village level. Usually it is the village level. What is the duration? 2 to 4 hours. It can maintain the temperature up to 2 to 4 hours. No issues with this. And please let me know maximum failure chances of cold chain are seen at sub-center and below. Okay. Maximum failure chances are seen at sub-center and below. So अगर village option में होगा, you will mark village first. If it is not an option, then you will mark sub-center. So maximum failure chances are at sub-center or village level. And in terms of instrument, maximum failure would be with X5. Maximum failure is with which instrument? Maximum failure is seen with which instrument? Maximum failure is seen with which instrument? No issues. At which level? Sub-center and below. Which level? Sub-center and below. No issues with this? अगर जहां भी दिक्कत है, let me know. Then this instrument is known as the first one. It is a ice-lined refrigerator. It is a ILR. It is a ice-lined refrigerator. So large ice-lined refrigerators are located at CHC or district hospitals. Normal ILRs are located at PSC, Primary Health Center. Okay, if they ask you the lowest level of vaccine storage, it is PSC. Lowest level of vaccine storage is lowest level of vaccine storage is why? Because at sub-center or below, vaccine storage does not occur. Vaccines are taken to the sub-center or village only on the day of vaccination from the PSC. Okay? So lowest level of vaccine storage, it is PSC. Lowest level of vaccine storage is at PSC. No issues with this, anybody? Now we have the ILR for vaccine storage. Here we can store vaccines for how much duration? Here we can store vaccines for how much duration? 1 month. What is the temperature of ILR? +2 to +8 degrees Celsius. What is the temperature? +2 to +8 degrees Celsius. Right? Here, the temperature monitoring would be done by this instrument known as? It is known as dial thermometer. This temperature measuring instrument is known as dial thermometer. So it is easy because usually it is not the doctor who measures the temperature. It is the healthcare worker at PSC who measures the temperature. So it is easy. So this dial thermometer, with this help of dial thermometer, what is the frequency of temperature measurement? How many times a day? So it would be twice a day. How many times temperature measurement would be done? How many times temperature measurement would be done? By whom? Healthcare worker at PSC. Okay, dial thermometer is based on which principle? Thermocouple. It is based on which principle? It is based on which principle? Thermocouple principle पे based होता है dial thermometer. If dial thermometer is not an option, the other thing to be marked is alcohol stem thermometer. The other thing to be marked is alcohol stem thermometer. No issues with this, but the best one to be used is a dial thermometer. Twice a day temperature measurement, and it is based on the principle known as thermocouple. Right? So please let me know. ILR का temperature monitoring तो हो गया, but for how much duration does the ILR need electricity every day? Every day it requires electricity for 8 hours per day. So minimum duration of electricity requirement is and without electricity, जैसे कि आजकल चल रहा है, without electricity it can maintain its temperature up to without electricity it can maintain its temperature up to no issues with this. Last question from this code chain. Please let me know which is the healthcare worker who measures the temperature at the level of PSC of this ILR. It is a health assistant. याद रखना, PSC पे we have the health assistant. No multi-purpose worker, no other people. Okay, so please remember at PSC we have the health assistant. So who measures the temperature of ILR? Who is located at which level? PSC level. No issues with this funda. Moving further. Now talking about the national immunization schedule. That is 2020-2021. National immunization schedule is a part of the universal immunization program. It is a part of the universal immunization program which was launched by the WHO. Okay? But in India, national immunization schedule comes under which program? Which health program? In India, NIS comes under which health program? RNTCB? एक बंदा बताओ. Program. NHM National Health Mission है वो. It is not a program. Program under NHM. NHM is the umbrella mission. Covers all programs. The largest health program in India which covers national immunization schedule also. इम्यूनाइजेशन इज गिवन फॉर, इम्यूनाइजेशन किसको देते हो, बच्चे को या प्रेग्नेंट औरत को, तो इट विल कम अंडर, एक एक आंसर दे दो कोई जल्दी बताओ, थोड़ा सा प्रोग्राम बराबर हो। हाँ एक ही बात सब बोले जा रहे हैं। RCH program, Reproductive and Child Health Program. Okay, JSSK is a very short version or a very short program under RCH. So the main program which includes is RCH. और RCH जननी शिशु सुरक्षा कार्यक्रम जो बोल रहे हो, उसमें there are free diagnostics, free health, free delivery, free treatment, okay, free transport, free food, but not immunization. National immunization schedule comes under which program? RCH program, Reproductive and Child Health Program, which is the largest health program of India under the National Health Mission. No issues with this, क्योंकि इसमें pregnancy भी cover होती है, adolescence भी cover होता है, children भी cover होते हैं. Now talking about NIS, okay? So first vaccine would be given at, first vaccine is given at birth. Which three vaccines are given at birth? BCG, OPV का which dose? 0 dose. And hepatitis B का which dose? Birth dose. Hepatitis B का birth dose. No issues with this. So 3 vaccines given at birth. जल्दी से. BCG, OPV, hepatitis B. 3 vaccines given at birth. BCG, OPV, hepatitis B. OPV का कौन सा dose? 0 dose. Hepatitis B का birth dose. Hepatitis B का birth dose. Important. The mnemonic is Bob. B for BCG, O for OPV, B for hepatitis B. No issues with this. Bob is given at birth. Next, the next it would be given at 6 weeks. Next schedule would be at 6 weeks. So 6 weeks पे important. The first vaccine that we give is, तो OPV का 0 dose दिया था. Now we will give OPV का first dose. OPV का first dose. Then we will give pentavalent vaccine ka first dose. And what does come under pentavalent vaccine? Anybody? Yeah? DPT, that is diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus, along with hepatitis B, along with HIV, Haemophilus influenzae type B. So which are the 5 vaccines coming under pentavalent vaccine? DPT, hepatitis B, HIV. Which are the 5 vaccines coming under pentavalent vaccine? DPT, hepatitis B, HIV. DPT is diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus. No issues with this. So pentavalent vaccine ka first dose. Then we will give rotavirus ka first dose. Rotavirus ka first dose. Then we will give fractionated IPV ka first dose. IPV is injectable polio vaccine. Injectable polio vaccine. And last, in some areas now, this is important, in some states or some areas of India where the prevalence of Streptococcus pneumoniae infection is really high, over there we will give pneumococcal conjugate vaccine ka first dose, PCV first dose. Next vaccination would be given at 10 weeks. Next vaccination would be done at 10 weeks. And which vaccines are given at 10 weeks? OPV, second dose. Pentavalent, second dose. Rotavirus, second dose. And then we don't give fractionated IPV or pneumococcal conjugate vaccine at 10 weeks. We skip them, both these vaccines at 10 weeks. Then at 14 weeks next. Then would be at 14 weeks. Here we will give OPV ka third dose, pentavalent ka third dose, rotavirus ka third dose, fractionated IPV ka second dose, and pneumococcal conjugate vaccine ka second dose. No issues with this. So now, पहले इतना रिवाइज कर लेते हैं. बर्थ पे 3 वैक्सीन. फर्स्ट इज, सेकंड इज ओपीवी, थर्ड इज हेपेटाइटिस बी. 6 वीक्स पे फर्स्ट इज ओपीवी फर्स्ट डोज, सेकंड इज पेंटावैलेंट फर्स्ट डोज, थर्ड इज रोटावायरस फर्स्ट डोज, फोर्थ इज फ्रैक्शनेटेड आईपीवी फर्स्ट डोज, एंड लास्ट इज पीसीवी फर्स्ट डोज. 10 weeks पे only 3 vaccines. OPV second dose, pentavalent second dose, rotavirus second dose. 14 weeks पे now OPV third dose, pentavalent third dose, rotavirus third dose, fractionated IPV second dose, and PCV second dose. No issues with this. Moving further, अगला कब देंगे? At 9 months of age. Now here it is important. 9 months पे 2 vaccines are given. First is it MMR, measles or MR? Now it is the MR vaccine in NIS. Okay, we only have measles and rubella. Measles and rubella. So MR ka which dose? First dose. Then in certain areas like Uttar Pradesh or West Bengal or Bihar, in some districts where Japanese encephalitis prevalent or endemic, over there we will give Japanese encephalitis ka first dose. Please let me know, according to the national immunization schedule, Japanese encephalitis live or killed is given in NIS. We give Japanese encephalitis live. We give Japanese encephalitis live in our patients. Okay, no issues with this. Moving further. Next would be which booster is given? Anybody? Which booster is given? PCV ka booster is given. And lastly, we will start with, though it is not a vaccine, but we will start it, and that is vitamin A. Vitamin A ka first dose. Vitamin A ka first dose. And vitamin A ka first dose is how much? 1 lakh international units. 1 lakh international units. How many ml? 1 ml. How much ml? So the concentration is 1 lakh international units per ml in India. Okay? So either they will give you 1 lakh international units or 1 ml. It is one and the same thing. Next, if I talk about 16 to 24 months. 16 to 24 months. So here we will give MR vaccine ka second dose. Measles, rubella, second dose. Japanese encephalitis, second dose. Japanese encephalitis, second dose. Then we will give vitamin A, तो चलता ही रहेगा. OPV का booster, OPV का and DPT का first booster. DPT का first booster. Then comes at 5 years of age. 5 years of age we will give which booster? DPT का कौन सा booster? DPT का second booster. Then at 10 years of age we will give. Here we will give TT vaccine. Here we will give tetanus toxoid. Tetanus toxoid. And lastly at 16 years of age we will give again tetanus toxoid. 16 years of age we will give tetanus toxoid. So the vaccination schedule in India starts at birth and completes by 16 for boys, whereas in females it continues till pregnancy, because tetanus toxoid के 2 doses are given in pregnancy. No issues with this. जल्दी से. So we did till 14 weeks. उसके आगे 9 months पे which vaccines are given? First dose of MR, first dose of Japanese encephalitis, then booster of PCV, and first dose of vitamin A, which is 1 lakh international units. Next at 16 to 24 months, second dose of MR, second dose of Japanese encephalitis, booster of OPV, and first booster of DPT. At 5 years, second booster of DPT. 10 and 16 years, tetanus toxoid. Now with this, important is to remember, vitamin A ka first dose is given at 9 months. But after that, from 1 year of age till 5 years of age, vitamin A is given every 6 months. And the dose would be now, the dose would be 2 lakh international units or 2 ml. 2 lakh international units or 2 ml. From 1 till 5 years of age, that means for 4 years every 6 months. So total number of doses would be, लगा ही था मुझे, ये इसीलिए पूछ रहा हूँ. Total number of doses would be 9 doses. Total number of doses would be 9. 1 to 5 years, 4 साल में every 6 months. So it is 8 doses. 4 to the 8. And 1 साल के अंदर 1 dose. That is 9 doses. Number of doses are total doses 17 lakh international units. Okay, like for 8 times we give 2 lakh international units, so 8 to the 16 plus 1, 17 lakh international units. No issues with vitamin A. Now it is given usually with a spoon. Okay. Now if I talk about this, the killed and alive vaccines का classification, previously they used to ask you. Okay, so याद रखना, usually the known vaccines, those are mostly live vaccines. Okay, live vaccines का मतलब क्या होता है? These are live attenuated vaccine. What do we mean by live attenuated vaccine? That means the virulence of the organism is decreased. ये question आता है, यही पूछते हो live attenuated vaccine मतलब क्या? So the virulence of the organism is decreased, but antigenicity is maintained. Virulence is Antigenicity is virulence is antigenicity is what is decreased? Virulence of organism. And what is maintained? Antigenicity. Means it should not cause a disease, but it should be capable of inducing a immune response in the child. Okay? That is what is live attenuated vaccine. So live vaccines are nothing but all your BCG, measles, mumps, rubella. Okay, usually all of these are your live vaccines. Chickenpox vaccine, H1N1, H1N1 and Japanese encephalitis. So if they ask you which vaccines are live as well as killed, which vaccines are live as well as killed? Japanese encephalitis and H1N1. Japanese encephalitis and H1N1. Rotavirus bhi hai, but rotavirus we generally don't use the other one. We only use the one. Okay, single one. So it is Japanese encephalitis, H1N1 and rotavirus which have live as well as killed strains. Live as well as killed strains. Okay. One more vaccine which has different names. OPV is the live strain, but IPV is the kill strain. IPV is the kill strain. No issues with this. OPV is the live strain. IPV is the. And as I gave you the mnemonic, guys, the mnemonic for killed vaccines, I am a PR. I am a PR. So what do we remember by I am a PR for killed vaccine? I goes for IPV. I goes for IPV. M goes for meningococcal conjugate vaccine. MCV. M goes for MCV. Bolo. M goes for A goes for hepatitis A. A goes for P goes for pertussis. P goes for and R goes for rabies. R goes for so jaldi se killed vaccines are remembered by the mnemonic. I am a PR. I for IPV. M for MCV. A for hepatitis A. P for pertussis and R for rabies. No issues with this, anybody? Remember? Now, please let me know the route. Jaldi se. Which vaccine is given intradermally 0.1 ml on the left deltoid? BCG. BCG is given intradermally. How much? 0.1 ml. On which side? Left deltoid. Left deltoid. Now, which vaccine is given? अगर नहीं होगा तो लिख लो जल्दी जल्दी. Important है one liner से. Which vaccine is given subcutaneous on the right arm? It can be given JE also. JE and MMR or MR vaccine, measles vaccine, right? So mainly we give MR. JE is only given in some states. It is also given at the same site. So subcutaneous on the right arm is JE and MMR. JE and MMR and which route of administration? Subcutaneous. Which route of administration? Subcutaneous. What is the site? Right arm. What is the site? Right arm. ये क्वेश्चन अभी नीट पीजे में आया था. A case of Japanese encephalitis was given that in the state of Bihar there are high number of encephalitis cases. Therefore, chemoprophylaxis was to be started. Okay, and for this chemoprophylaxis, vaccine was to be given. Please let us know the type of vaccine and the route of vaccine. So the type of JE that we give is live attenuated vaccine, and the route with which we give is subcutaneous. Okay, so this was the question. Don't make a mistake. Intradermal is mainly one vaccine, that is BCG, which is included in the schedule. मैं बोल रहा हूँ. Okay, subcutaneous only two vaccines, Japanese encephalitis and MMR vaccine. ठीक है, no issues. Oral vaccines are usually with तो बाकी जगह पे दे दो subcutaneous. You can also use the leg. बाकी है, हाथ नहीं है तो बाकी है जगह पे. ठीक है. So now please remember, oral vaccines would be oral polio vaccine. It would be rotavirus vaccine as well. Okay? No issues with this, anybody? Fractionated IPV also sometimes can be given intradermally. It can also be given intradermal. No issues now. ठीक है, रेबीज के बारे में बाद में बात करेंगे, वो आगे जाके देखते हैं. Now, pentavalent vaccine, that is DPT, hepatitis B and HIV can be given by which route? It is given by intramuscular route. Given by which route? Intramuscular route. And which side? Anterolateral thigh. The best site would be anterolateral thigh. Okay, so the best site for administration of pentavalent vaccine is anterolateral thigh. ठीक है, left side prefer करते हैं, left anterolateral thigh. Intramuscular injection. ठीक है, no issues with this, anybody now? Question says a child was brought to you at 9 months of age and he missed his DPT vaccine at 14 weeks. Till what age DPT vaccine can be given to him? DPT vaccine. So this is for delayed immunization. Agar kisi bachche ne, if a child has missed his immunization, then the maximum time till which the vaccine can be given. For DPT it is, very good Shravan, it is 7 years. It is 7 years. So maximum time till which DPT can be given is, maximum time till which HIV can be given is Haemophilus influenzae B. 6 years. Maximum time till which HIV can be given is, maximum time till which HIV can be given is, maximum time till which hepatitis B can be given is 5 years. Maximum time till which hepatitis B. Shabash. Maximum time till which hepatitis B is given is 1 year. Okay, it is 1 year. Okay. Now, if I change my question, और इसको पक्का मिलेगा. I said in my first question, maximum time of hepatitis B is 1 year. नहीं होगा, delayed immunization देख लो भाई. Maximum time of hepatitis B. If I modify my question, maximum time of birth dose of hepatitis B is, very good, it is 24 hours. The maximum time of birth dose of hepatitis B is only 24 hours. Next, if I say maximum time till which OPV can be given. Oral polio vaccine maximum can be given up till 5 years. OPV maximum can be given up till. I modify my question. Maximum time till which zero dose of OPV can be given is. It is 15 days. So up to 15 days. So maximum time till which zero dose of OPV can be given is. Maximum time till which zero dose of OPV can be given is. और अगर कुछ dose mention नहीं किया, only OPV then 5 years. Only OPV, zero dose of OPV, 15 days. Zero dose of OPV, hepatitis B only, hepatitis B only 1 year. Hepatitis B birth dose 24 hours. Hepatitis B birth dose 24 hours. ठीक है? HIV 6 years, DPT 7 years. Tetanus toxoid 16 years. Tetanus toxoid till 16 years. No issues with this. Anybody now? At least ये याद रखना important है. और एक last vaccine जो याद रखनी है, rotavirus vaccine. Maximum can be given up till ये recall question है. It is 1 year of age. ठीक है? So maximum 12 months. So rotavirus vaccine can be given maximum up till 1 year of age. That is 12 months. No issues with this. Vaccination done. चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं. ये देखो, if a child, ये दिसंबर का क्वेश्चन था, दिसंबर का क्वेश्चन था विटामिन ए पे. ठीक है? तो चाइल्ड लेस देन 1 year of age, dose of vitamin A 1 lakh या 1 ml. Child more than 1 year of age, dose of vitamin A like more than it is 2 lakh or 2 ml. If the child is more than 1 year, but he or she is severely malnourished and the weight is less than 8 kgs वगैरह, at that time the dose would be reduced to 1 lakh. At that time the dose would be reduced to 1 lakh international unit. If the child is severely malnourished, mild to moderate malnutrition, dose remains same of 2 lakh international units. Even if the child is above 2 years. Above 4 years of age also, we will, if it is severely malnourished, we will talk about severe acute malnutrition. That means the child is having edema, kwashiorkor-like features. At that time usually. Otherwise, mild to moderate, it is fine anyway. Okay? If it is very severe acute malnutrition, SAM जिसको बोलता है. Less than 6 months, vitamin A is not to be given because vitamin A is present in human milk or breast milk. Okay? So it is usually present. If the mother is not present, then we usually give, but it is not recommended as such. The formula fed milks which are available, that also contain vitamin A as such. Now next question, guys. A child is given how many doses of hepatitis B? So according to the national immunization schedule, please remember, here we are having 4 doses of hepatitis B. How? Hepatitis B ka birth dose and 3 pentavalent vaccines So total 4 doses are there. But actually, though in schedule we have 4 doses, but only 3 doses are given. So maximum how many doses are given of hepatitis B? 3 doses. How does it differ? If a child was delivered in hospital, then we will give it at 6, 0, 6 and 14 weeks. We will give it at 0, 6 and 14 weeks. Whereas if a child was delivered at home, then we will give it at 6, 10 or 14 weeks. Then we will give it at 6, 10 or 14 weeks. No issues with this. So hepatitis B, in schedule we have 4 doses, but actually we give only 3 doses. In home delivery, 6, 10 and 14. Institutional delivery, 0, 6, 14. No issues with this. ये अलग सा क्वेश्चन था, इसीलिए बताया इम्पोर्टेंट है. PSM में ऐसे ही होता है. और रे भाई रे शान बैठ जा. Now all live vaccines are contraindicated in pregnancy except. So pregnancy has been known as an immunocompromised state. Therefore, all live vaccines are contraindicated because the antigenicity will increase of the vaccine. Okay, but except one. That means, see, all live vaccines, including yellow fever, should be contraindicated. But if a person, if a pregnant female wants to go to Africa at any cost, मुझे जाना ही है Africa for whatsoever reason she wants to go, ठीक है? अरे यार हाथ है. So whatsoever reason she wants to go to Africa, ठीक है? So at that time you need to give yellow fever vaccine to the patient, okay? So that is, so all live vaccines are contraindicated in pregnancy except only if the female wants to travel to an endemic zone. Only if a female wants to travel to an endemic zone. No issues with this. Now, contraindications of vaccines. Which vaccines are contraindicated in these situations? यार भाई उसको पता क्यों जाना चाहती, मुझे नहीं पता है, एग्जामिनर को पूछ लेना, ठीक है? Now, if I talk about lactation में please remember which vaccine is absolutely contraindicated. So yellow fever vaccine can be given in pregnancy, but absolutely contraindicated in, because if it is given in lactation, it can go via breast milk to the child and infect the child. Okay, therefore it is contraindicated in lactation. नहीं भाई, अफ्रीका में कौन सी? Then if I talk about HIV positive individual, if it is HIV positive symptomatic adult, then which vaccines are contraindicated? All live vaccines are contraindicated. All live vaccines are contraindicated because again HIV is an immunocompromised state. So in HIV positive symptomatic adult, all live vaccines are contraindicated except क्या बोल रहा है? मैं डर गया, मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ? Except for MMR which can be given, varicella can be given, and varicella का भाई that is zoster. Okay, that is one and the same. So I will only write varicella. ठीक है? So HIV asymptomatic भाई आ रहा है. So HIV positive symptomatic adult, which vaccines are contraindicated? All live vaccines are contraindicated except for MMR and varicella can be given in HIV positive symptomatic patient. If it is a HIV positive asymptomatic adult, no vaccines are contraindicated. If it is a HIV positive asymptomatic patient, all vaccines can be given. Okay? If it is HIV positive newborn, whether the patient is symptomatic or asymptomatic, in newborn, all live vaccines are contraindicated. All live vaccines are contraindicated. Except which can be given? OPV can be given. Measles can be given. BCG plus minus है उसका, ठीक है? So please remember OPV and MMR. BCG some books say yes, some books say no. In high prevalence countries like India, we can give because बच्चा नहीं तो मतलब वैसे तो कुछ नहीं होता BCG से, but अगर होता भी है तो थोड़ा बहुत उससे ही बच जाएगा, ठीक है? So in high prevalence countries like India, we can give BCG, but otherwise it is not given, ठीक है? So HIV positive newborn, which vaccines are contraindicated? HIV positive newborn, which vaccines are contraindicated? But which vaccines can be given? OPV and MMR along with plus minus BCG, plus minus BCG. If I talk about post-disaster, all vaccines are contraindicated. All vaccines are, so not only live, even killed vaccines are contraindicated post-disaster. So which vaccines are contraindicated post-disaster? All vaccines are contraindicated. Only vaccine given is measles vaccine. Okay? Next, if I talk about patient on corticosteroid therapy, maybe a SLE patient on a long-term corticosteroid therapy that has led to immunosuppression or immunocompromised state. So which vaccines are contraindicated? Again, all live vaccines are contraindicated. All live vaccines are contraindicated. If a patient is having fever, which vaccine is contraindicated? Shabash. If a patient is having fever, which vaccine is contraindicated? Which vaccine is contraindicated during fever? Which vaccine is contraindicated during fever? Which vaccine is contraindicated during malnutrition? If a child has malnutrition, it is malnutrition, no contraindication would be there. Okay, no vaccines are contraindicated in malnutrition. No vaccines are contraindicated during malnutrition. Which vaccine is contraindicated during diarrhea? So again, no contraindication for diarrhea. So malnutrition and diarrhea has no contraindication for any vaccine. Epilepsy. So it is usually, to be specific, it is pertussis. That is your DPT vaccine is contraindicated, right? During epilepsy, which vaccine is contraindicated? DPT, because pertussis can cause neurological manifestations in the patient. But in cerebral palsy, which vaccine would be contraindicated? No contraindications would be seen. Which vaccine is contraindicated in cerebral palsy? No contraindication, because epilepsy is a progressive neurological disease, but cerebral palsy is a non-progressive neurological disease. So pertussis will not cause any harm in case of cerebral palsy either. Okay? Last, epidemic. Which vaccines are contraindicated during epidemic? All vaccines are contraindicated during epidemics except for measles. Except for the reason behind this, important now. Please remember, if we have COVID epidemic, okay, right now we have COVID epidemic, right? The normal incubation period of COVID is 2 to 14 days. 2 to 14 days, right? But if we give co-vaccine or any type of vaccine to the patient, the seroconversion time. What do we mean by the seroconversion time? That means the time taken to form antibodies. Like the time taken to form antibodies with the help of vaccine, it would be around 6 to 8 weeks. It would be around 6 to 8 weeks. Uske pehle hi patient ko before that only the patient will get the disease or acquire the disease and upar chala jayega. Okay? So that is the reason why during epidemics no vaccine is given. During epidemics no vaccine is given, because the incubation period of vaccine-induced disease is much more as compared to the natural incubation period of the disease. याद रखना, वैक्सीन की वजह से इंक्यूबेशन पीरियड जो होता है ना, वो 6 से 8 हफ्तों का होता है, whereas the natural incubation period of disease जो होता है, it is around maximum 10 to 20 days, right? So disease जल्दी हो जाएगा rather than वो वैक्सीन काम कर जाए उस पेशेंट में. But in measles there is a difference. Measles का normal natural incubation period है 10 to 14 days. Measles का natural incubation period है 10 to 14 days. Important, right? But vaccine-induced measles का incubation period है 7 days only. Vaccine-induced measles का incubation period is only 7 days. So before the actual disease starts, measles vaccine will form antibodies. Before the actual disease starts, measles vaccine will form the antibodies. Therefore, during epidemic of measles also we can give measles vaccine. But बाकी किसी भी epidemic में कोई भी vaccine recommended नहीं होती. ठीक है? So which vaccines are contraindicated in epidemic? All vaccines except for measles. Why? Because it has a shorter incubation period from vaccine. No issues with this. Then what is this first image? This is known as the switch. This is known as the switch. So as we know, WHO declared that which strain of polio has been eliminated? The P2 strain of the polio has been, that is your wild strain of polio has been eradicated from us, right? It has been eradicated from us. And therefore, all the countries changed from trivalent OPV which used to contain P1, P2, P3, now to only a bivalent OPV which contains P1 and P3. P1 and P3. So bivalent vaccine contains which strains of polio? Bivalent OPV contains which strains of polio? This was called as which program? The switch program. This was called as which program? This was called as the switch program from trivalent OPV to bivalent OPV. Okay? And National Switch Day of India was 25th April 2016. National Switch Day of India was 25th April 2016. National Switch Day of India was 25th April 2016. Let me know the important, who was the one which scientist developed the first vaccine? Louis Pasteur वाले हाथ उठाओ. Louis Pasteur वाले जल्दी जल्दी, अरे जल्दी हाथ उठाओ. Confidence. So, if Louis Pasteur developed the first vaccine, why he is not called as the father of vaccination then? So that was the reason Louis Pasteur did not develop the first vaccine. The first vaccine was developed by Sir Edward Jenner. The first vaccine was developed by Sir Edward Jenner. And Sir Edward Jenner therefore is known as the father of vaccination. Who is known as the father of vaccination? Who is known as the father of vaccination? तो मैं नहीं लगाना सर मत लगाओ, एडवर्ड तो बोलो. एडवर्ड जेनर, ठीक है, याद रख लो. And Edward Jenner coined the term vaccination. Edward Jenner coined the term vaccination, whereas vaccine term was coined by Louis Pasteur. So, abhi Edward Jenner just actually developed the vaccine, but Louis Pasteur gave it the name vaccine. ठीक है, एडवर्ड जेनर बोला मैंने पहले डेवलप किया, मैं नाम दूंगा. So he gave the term vaccination. ऐसे नमूने थे, ठीक है. Whereas Edward Jenner developed which vaccine? Anybody? Edward Jenner developed the vaccine of. So the first vaccine developed was smallpox, and therefore the first disease to be eradicated from Earth was smallpox, and the eradication date of smallpox was 8th May 1980. Eradication of. बैठे बैठे अरे घूम लो अच्छे से. So you are at home anyways, take the mobile and roam here and there. ठीक है? So the eradication date of smallpox is 8th May 1980. 8th May 1980. No issues with this. Whereas Sir Louis Pasteur developed which vaccines? CAR vaccine. Sir Louis Pasteur developed which vaccine? Cholera, anthrax, rabies. CAR, C-A-R. Cholera, anthrax, rabies. Which vaccines were developed by Sir Louis Pasteur? Cholera, anthrax, rabies. No issues with that. Last point. नहीं और है, but ये यहाँ का. It is vaccine vial monitor. This is the vaccine vial monitor. And vaccine vial monitor is a marker of. It is a marker of cold chain maintenance. It is a marker of cold chain maintenance. It is also termed as a marker of heat sensitivity. It is also termed as a marker of heat sensitivity. So here you can see there is a tag. Okay, over here it contains the inner lighter square and the outer darker circle. Right. So this is what is your vaccine vial monitor. It gives you an indication if the vaccine can be used or it should be discarded. Okay, because it will change the color. So the inner square will change the color. Okay, so when it will change the color, when the cold chain of the vaccine is not maintained. Okay, when the temperature of the vaccine is not maintained, therefore it is called as marker of heat sensitivity. So if there is fluctuations in the temperature, this vaccine vial monitor will change its color. Okay, no issues with this. याद रखना. Therefore it is known as marker of cold chain maintenance or heat sensitivity. So if the inner square is lighter or compared to the outer circle, okay, then the vaccine can be used. Okay, but if the inner square color is either similar or darker than the outer circle, then the vaccine should be discarded. So they can give you any one of these image and they will ask you what should the nurse do with this kind of a vaccine. Okay, if it is the first or second, then the nurse should use the vaccine. If it is first or second, the nurse should. If it is second, third or fourth, then the nurse should. If it is third or fourth, the nurse should discard the vaccine. No issues with this. Now talking about next one, and that is your lyophilized vaccine. What do we mean by lyophilized vaccine? It is these are dry. These are freeze-dried vaccines. These are freeze-dried vaccines. That means they are available in the powder form. They are available in the powder form. But you need to inject in solution form. Therefore, you will mix them with a diluent. Therefore, you will mix them with a diluent. So the solution which is used to mix the powdered vaccine is known as a diluent. Okay, and the process is known as reconstitution. The process is known as reconstitution. PSM में definitions आती है बहुत बार, ऐसी फालतू definitions आ सकती है और तुम बोलोगे फिर सर अनकॉमन चीजें आती है. ठीक है, अनकॉमन नहीं आएगी, सब इसमें से आएगा. Definitions याद रख लो, प्रोसेस को क्या बोलते हैं. ठीक है, so the process of making a solution from a dried powder vaccine is known as reconstitution, and the vaccine then after making the solution would be known as a reconstituted vaccine. ठीक है. Now, talking about the diluents of the freeze-dried vaccine, please remember for BCG, which is the diluent used? For BCG, we will use normal saline. For BCG, we will use. For BCG, we will use. For yellow fever, we will use. For cold, physiological saline. That is what is cold saline. So for yellow fever, we will use. For yellow fever, we will use. For measles, mumps, and rubella, we will use. For measles, mumps, and rubella, we will use distilled water or sterile water. Distilled water or it is one and the same thing. For Japanese encephalitis, we will use phosphate buffer saline or phosphate buffer solution. Okay, phosphate buffer saline or phosphate buffer solution. Jaldi se. For lyophilized vaccines, we use diluent. Okay, and the process is known as reconstitution. For BCG, we use yellow fever, MMR, distilled or Japanese encephalitis, phosphate buffer saline. No issues with this. Now, once the vaccine is reconstituted, mix kar di tumne. Now the vaccine should be used within. The vaccine should be used within. If the vaccine is used beyond 4 hours, then it will cause toxic shock syndrome. If the vaccine is used beyond 4 hours, it causes toxic shock syndrome. So reconstituted vaccine should be used within a period of. It should be used within a period of. If used after 4 hours, it will cause toxic shock syndrome. Maximum chances of toxic shock syndrome are seen with measles vaccine. Maximum chance of toxic shock syndrome are seen with measles vaccine. No issues with this. अगर उन्होंने पूछा, all reconstituted vaccines can be used up till 4 hours, except one which should be used within half an hour. Your answer should be yellow fever or Japanese encephalitis. Yellow fever or Japanese encephalitis. Okay, both of these vaccines should be used within a period of half an hour. Maximum they can be used up till a period of 4 hours. No issues with this. Now, जल्दी से strain सबको रटे हुए होंगे, नहीं है तो अभी रट लेते हैं. BCG का strain है Danish 1331. What is the strain of BCG? What is the strain of BCG? Danish 1331. What is the strain of OPV? P1 and what is the strain of OPV? What is the strain of OPV? If they ask you in terms of names, so what is the strain of oral polio vaccine? Look, the strain of oral polio vaccine is whereas the strain of killed, that is injectable polio vaccine is, the strain of killed polio vaccine would be live polio vaccine, killed polio vaccine. So साल, K for killed, K for साल, वैसे याद रखना है. ठीक है. So killed polio vaccine it is साल, live polio vaccine it is Sabine, and OPV के लिए it is P1 and P3. Measles it is Edmonton, the grapevine. Mumps it is छोटा नाम, तो छोटा कौन होता है? जेरी, तो जेरिल लेन. Mumps it is rubella it is R827/3. Rubella it is R827/3. Yellow fever it is 17D. Yellow fever it is 17D. Japanese encephalitis it is. So important. Japanese encephalitis, we have the live vaccine as well as the killed vaccine available. In national immunization schedule, we use the live vaccine. So tell me the live vaccine strain. SA-14-14-2. So live strain of JE is SA-14-14-2. Kill strains of JE are China, या Japan. Nakayama ya Beijing P3. Nakayama ya Beijing P3. Rabies it is fixed viral strain. Rabies it is fixed viral strain. Rabies it is fixed viral strain. Then Mosquirix is the first licensed anti-malarial vaccine. And what is the strain? RTS, S. RTS, S. What is the strain of Dengvaxia? Dengvaxia is the dengue vaccine. CYD TDV. CYD TDV. Now, one question that came earlier. Dengvaxia ka strain, that is CYD TDV, is developed from which vaccine? Is developed from which vaccine previously? बोलो, जोर से बोलो. महिपाल जी बोलते जाओ. So it is 17D strain of yellow fever. So please remember, Dengvaxia ka CYD TDV strain is developed from the yellow fever 17D strain, and it has been modified into D1, D2, D3, and D4 strains of dengue. No issues with this. Please remember this. एक बार रिवाइज करना चाहते हो? जल्दी. Random जा रहा हूं मैं. Be attentive. Yellow fever. Yellow fever. Mosquirix. Mosquirix. Dengvaxia. Dengvaxia. Measles. Measles. Mumps. Mumps. JE live. JE live. Then mumps. Rubella. Rubella. OPV. OPV. Live polio. Live polio. Killed polio. IPV. SAL. IPV is nothing but killed polio. So IPV. BCG. Damage 1331. Rabies. Rabies. Now talking about rabies, guys. Uske pehle one important one-liner. Which is the vaccine showing highest efficacy with a single dose? Which is the vaccine showing highest efficacy with a single dose? Anybody? Which is the vaccine showing highest efficacy with single dose? एक आंसर. इट इज. कोई तो बोला शायद अभी. कौन बोला? हाथ उठाओ ईमानदारी से जो बोला. रुबेला. कौन बोला रुबेला? पीछे पास करके आया. तो highest efficacy with single dose of which vaccine it is? Rubella. Rubella gives 95% efficacy with a single dose. Rubella gives 95% efficacy with a single dose. So maximum efficacy with single dose of which vaccine? Maximum efficacy with single dose of which vaccine? Maximum efficacy, 99% efficacy with 2 doses of which vaccine? Measles. 2 doses of which vaccine? But single dose maximum efficacy? Single dose maximum efficacy. And BCG does not give protection against pulmonary TB. It only protects against extrapulmonary TB. Yellow fever का जो पूछ रहे थे, yes, yellow fever vaccination certificate is valid from 10th day, valid from the 10th day, but valid up to lifelong, valid up to lifelong. ठीक है, इसीलिए बोलता हूँ क्वेश्चन ध्यान से सुनो. ठीक है, तो येलो फीवर वैक्सीनेशन सर्टिफिकेट would be valid from 10th day but valid up to lifelong. 10 days से क्यों? Because सीरो कन्वर्जन टाइम इज 10 days. एंटीबॉडीज बनने में 10 दिन लगेंगे. ठीक है, तो 10 दिन के बाद वो पेशेंट ट्रैवल कर सकता है टू एंडेमिक जोन. नो इश्यूज विद दिस. इंपॉर्टेंट. नाउ टॉकिंग अबाउट रेबीज. यहाँ पे जगह है क्या? तो जल्दी से एक ब्रेक दे देता हूँ, इसके बाद पहले वैक्सीन खत्म करते हैं. ठीक है, रेबीज जल्दी से. फॉर रेबीज pre-exposure prophylaxis. That means the patient, or नहीं, patients नहीं बोल सकते उनको, the individuals who have pets at their home. ठीक है? No offense. Pre-exposure prophylaxis is given to the ones who are handling pets or maybe who have pets at their home. And how many doses of pre-exposure prophylaxis are given? How many doses are given for pre-exposure? 3 doses. बताओ जल्दी जल्दी. 0, 7, 21 or 28. 0, 7, 21 or 28. So pre-exposure prophylaxis of rabies. How many doses? At what time? 0, 7, 21 or 28. 0, 7, 21 or 28. Then if I talk about rabies post-exposure prophylaxis, guys. For rabies, सुन लो जरा, सुन लो. For rabies post-exposure prophylaxis, that means after a dog bite, you will classify the wound into category 1 or 2 or 3, and then you will give vaccine to the patient. So for post-exposure prophylaxis, either we have the intramuscular regime, which is known as SN regime, intramuscular regime known as the, or the intradermal regime known as the high updated Red Cross regime. Intradermal regime known as the high updated Red Cross regime. Okay? Now, in SN regime, how many doses are given? In SN regime we give. In SN regime we'll give. But in intradermal we give. So in Red Cross we only give 4 doses. Okay? How to write it? So once I will write in 037 format and next I will write in 11 format. So इधर जगह नहीं है, देख लेना. So for intramuscular, the doses are given at 0, 3, 7, 14, 28. So what are the 5 doses of intramuscular vaccine? 0, 3, 7, 14, 28. Again, what is the 5 doses of SN regime or intramuscular? 0, 3, 7, 14, 28. Yes, yes. Then if I talk about high updated Red Cross regime, only 4 doses are given. That means that 0, 3, 7 and 28. So we skip which dose? 14th day dose is skipped. Okay, which dose is skipped in intradermal? 14th day dose is skipped. Now, as I told you, for intramuscular rabies vaccine, 0.5 ml is the dose. How much is the dose? 0.5. 1 ml तक बोलते हैं, तो 1 ml तक दे सकते हो. ठीक है, तो बच्चा है तो 0.5 है, adult है तो 1 ml तक dose can be given of intramuscular. But intradermal dose would be, it is 0.2. That means 0.1 ml on one deltoid, 0.1 ml on the other deltoid. So it is given on bilateral deltoid. It is given on bilateral deltoid, intradermal regime. The preferred one nowadays, जो hospitals में चल रही, it is the intradermal regime which is going on. Bilateral deltoid, 0.1, 0.1. That is total of 0.2 ml dose. ठीक है? So here they can also give you like, please tell me, for SN regime you can write 1, 1, 1, 1 and 1. ठीक है, कितने हो गए? 5 हो गए. So that is for intramuscular regime. But for intradermal regime you need to write 2, 2, 2, 0, 2. Got it? 0 means it indicates the 14th day. Okay, it indicates the 14th day. 2 क्यों? क्योंकि 2 injections are given on bilateral deltoid. No issues with this now. Moving further, उसके पहले चलो break ले लो. 6 o'clock. नहीं, पहले AEFI कर दो जल्दी से. AEFI, that is adverse event following immunization. For adverse event, कोई side effect ना हो vaccine का. For that purpose, we keep the patient after vaccination under observation for a period of. So observation would be period of 30 minutes. ठीक है? Now, intersusception is a side effect of which vaccine? Intersusception is a side effect of. Intersusception is a side effect of. Patient will present to you with abdominal pain and red currant jelly stools along with diarrhea sometimes, but red currant jelly stools are specific. Fever. Fever is a side effect of pertussis. Fever is a side effect of. Fever is a side effect of. Important. Then febrile seizures are a side effect of measles. Febrile seizures. Febrile seizures. Fever. Fever. Febrile seizures. Measles. Measles. And pertussis. Lymphadenopathy and osteomyelitis. BCG. So BCG के side effects क्या है? Lymphadenopathy and osteomyelitis. What are the side effects of BCG? Lymphadenopathy and osteomyelitis and lymphadenopathy are associated with which vaccine? persistent inconsolable crime. बच्चा रोए ही जा रहा है. It is associated with persistent inconsolable crime is associated with one more. अगर आता है hypotensive hyporesponsive syndrome is also associated with pertussis. ठीक है. Last, hypersensitivity and shock wave. Hypersensitivity and shock wave. Hypersensitivity and shock wave. Intussusception wave. Fever wave. Febrile seizures wave. Paralysis wave. Paralysis wave. Paralysis with OPV. Paralysis with OPV. Oral polio vaccine. Vaccine associated paralytic polio और vaccine derived paralytic polio. Vaccine derived paralytic polio खत्म हो चुका है. क्यों? Reason? It was caused by the second strain, P2 strain. Okay, so now in our vaccines we don't have P2 strain. So vaccine derived polio virus is not seen nowadays. Vaccine associated paralytic polio is caused by 3 and therefore it is still existing, VAP, but not VDP. ठीक है? Take a break. We will meet at 6, 10, 15, 20 तो नहीं दे रहा. इतना तो नहीं. 15 मिनट break लो. 6:15 पे मिलते हैं. 6:15 sharp I'll start. I need to complete preventive occupational health बहुत है. बोलो.